Welcome to Mineral Talks Live, the monthly live mineral webinar that brings you in-depth and in-person interviews with mineral people from around the world. Mineral Talks Live is brought to you by a joint effort among the Mineralogical and Geological Museum at Harvard University, the SMMP, and BlueCap Productions. Tune in on the first Wednesday of every month and stay connected to your mineral world. Now, broadcasting live from beautiful Honolulu, Hawaii, the land of aloha, ukuleles, and shakas, this is Mineral Talks Live. Aloha to everyone watching today, and a big mahalo for tuning into our show. Today is Wednesday, July 6, 2022, and this is Mineral Talks Live, the #1 mineral talk show on the internet. I'm your host, Brian Swoboda, the president of BlueCap Productions, and together with my partners, Dr. Raquel Alonso Perez from the Mineralogical and Geological Museum at Harvard University, and Dr. Eloise Gaillou from the Society of Mineral Museum Professionals, also known as the SMMP, we want to welcome you to our program. For those of you joining us for the first time, Mineral Talks Live is the monthly mineral talk show where we sit down with people from all facets of the mineral world to learn about what they do and who they are. Our guests include some of the best curatrix, curators, collectors, dealers, miners, researchers, artists, and media people in the mineral world. For a complete list of all our past guests and link to those interviews, please visit the URL at the bottom of the screen. Now, if you enjoy our show and want to keep it going, go ahead and click the subscribe button below and be sure to tell your friends all about us. One of the many things that makes this show unique is that this isn't just a conversation between me and our guests. All of you get to be part of the show by participating through the chat or the Q&A feature, both of which are located at the bottom of your Zoom window. The chat feature allows you to type messages to everyone watching the live show. We always enjoy seeing where all of you are tuning in from, so when you first sign on, go ahead and fire off a big aloha to everyone and tell us where you're from. Throughout the show, if you have thoughts, comments, or questions about what we're discussing, this chat area is where you can post them and interact with each other while we're talking. Now, usually our guests and I aren't able to read those comments, but Raquel and Eloise will be very active in the chat area and may even interject a question or two to us during the interview. Now, if you have a general question you're dying to ask our guest, but it's a bit off topic of what we're discussing at the moment, feel free to type your question into the Q&A section, and we'll do our best to get to that at the end of the show. Finally, towards the end of the program, we're going to have a little something special for all of you in lieu of our Quickfire 5 questions today. So make sure you pay attention to everything we're talking about, and you just might be a winner. So for today's interview, we're headed out to Warsaw, Poland to get together with a true staple of the mineral collecting world. You've seen him at numerous mineral shows throughout the world, perhaps even had some Krupnik honey vodka with him at the Munich show. He's one of the co-organizers of the relatively new Mineral City show in Tucson, and for many, many years, he's been featured on BlueCap Productions' various What's Hot programs, always sharing his fantastic mineral finds with us. A man who really needs no introduction, Mr. Tomek Praszkier. Hey, Tomek, how you doing today?
Hi, Brian. Hi, everyone. I'm doing great. Greetings from Warsaw, Poland.
How is the weather out there in Warsaw right now?
It's summer here, so the weather is very pleasant, like 25, 30 Celsius degrees, some small rain from time to time, but in general, it's perfect.
Fantastic. Love to hear it. Now, Tomek, we always like to start the program with our guests talking about how they started in the mineral world. I've known you for many years, but I've never actually heard your origin story. So tell us about your story and the first time you remember being captivated by minerals.
So my story was similar probably to the most of the long-time collectors. I started to be interested in the rocks, collecting on the sandy beach in Baltic Sea in Poland when I was 4 or 5 years old. And when my parents see my passion about smashing the rocks, they took me to some small quarry in Poland when I could collect fossils. And this is how my adventure started. And then I was completely into that, and I studied geology. I worked at the university. For many years, my first topic of interest were the fossils and some sedimentology, but with time, more and more, I went to the mineralogy and that direction.
Now, do you remember the first mineral that you ever collected, not field collected, but that you ever saw and acquired?
I think before I acquired anything, I found by myself some small calcite crystals in the Polish Kraków Jura chain, where are the Jurassic limestones and a lot of fossils. And from time to time, you can find a nice scalinohydral calcite.
Now, were you looking for calcites or were you looking for fossils and you happened to find a calcite?
I was looking for fossils.
You're looking for fossils?
I was looking for fossils, yeah.
And so at some point, you made the switch to become, I would imagine, a collector. You're also a dealer and you're a field collector. So what pushed you to make that jump?
It was whole long time process. As I said, I started to be really interested in that when I was 5, 6, 7 years old. And then I started to participate in the shows, first as a visitor, then I joined Spirifer Club for kids, and then I studied the geology, and I was going like every second week to collect something, mostly in Poland. When I started my interest in minerals, it was barely communism falling in Poland, so traveling international was almost impossible. Then when it was possible, I traveled with my parents a little bit here and there, but mostly collected in Poland. And with time, when I start to have some financial possibilities to travel farther, I started to go widely around 99, 2000. Then I started to visit Morocco, Madagascar, other countries. And frequently it were trips which join collecting minerals, but also making some scientific research on fossils, Cretaceous and Jurassic fossils, ammonites and inoceramides.
Interesting. So you still haven't completely stepped away from the fossil part.
At this point, I stepped away several years ago. It's already probably 15 years ago. I dropped university because there was obvious conflict in my time that many times they were very, how to say it in English, they accepted that I'm saying, okay, now I go to Madagascar for 2 months, but you can do that 3 times a year, but if you do that more frequently, it's just not working well. And I had to make a decision, and I decided to drop the, let's say, real science and be full-time teacher and scientist, and to be a dealer, researcher, and make some small research projects from some time to time, what I'm doing till up to date.
Gotcha. So it was kind of a slow burn into the passion that has grasped you. Now, you said that you would start the Spirifer Club, and your company is also called Spirifer. What does Spirifer mean?
So this is one of the holy grail collecting spots in Poland. Not many of you probably know something about Polish geology. Poland was covered by glaciers very heavily, like 80-90% of the country. So most of our territory is covered by sands and glacier gravels and all kinds of rocks which are completely useless for collecting. So there is really relatively few spots to go to collect. And one of them is location which called Grzegorzowice Skały in Holy Cross Mountains. It's central Poland. And in Devonian Mars, you can find beautiful, perfectly preserved thousands spirifers. And this is how the club, which was created in some palace of culture in Warsaw, Poland, in the end of 80s, by Adam Mazurek, called Club Spirifer. And then this club evolved slowly. We start to grow up, we take it over, and we change it to NGO, which called Spirifer Geological Society. So when I opened the commercial company, it was kind of obvious for me to use the name Spirifer, which got nothing to do with minerals, and I thought it's kind of funny.
I love it. Now, Tomek, I just got back from the Sainte-Marie show in France, and I was expecting to see you there, and I was actually quite surprised that you weren't there. Now, I know that you are an incredibly busy person, but what are you working on that would keep you away from the Sainte-Marie show?
I was planning to come for a day or two, but my schedule was so tight and crazy that I thought driving 12 hours to stay there one day and go back 12 hours is too crazy. During the summer show, I was already setting up the biggest Polish mineral show, which we organize already many, many years. It's called in English Crystal Days, and in Polish it's Sudecki Festiwal Minerałów, which is located in Lower Silesia, Poland.
And that's an annual event. How many visitors do you have coming to Crystal Days?
So we don't sell tickets, so we don't know exactly. It's difficult to judge. But for example, we've got exhibits which are located, we've got many exhibits. Most of them are located in the local museum. And these exhibits, we try to count the visitors. This year, people who entered to the exhibit was around 10,000. We suspect all show together is visited by probably 30 to 40,000 people, but it's big show, not only minerals, it's spread all over the town. So really impossible to say the number, but it's a big crowd.
Is it mainly Polish dealers and Polish attendees, or is it more international?
Brian, maybe I will show you a few photos and I will comment showing these photos so you'll have a better idea how it looks like.
Sure, I'd love to see.
I will try to share my screen of my computer.
Oh, your desktop looks like my desktop.
So this is a poster of this year Crystal Days show. In Polish, it's called Sudecki Festiwal Minerałów. As I said, it's located in Lubań, Lubań in Lower Silesia. So the show, it's outdoor show with tents located on the main square of this small but beautiful town. Lower Silesia is famous for minerals in Poland, and also the same geological unit is continuing to Germany and Czech Republic. There is many, many famous old locations mined mostly in German times. So this is why the Polish roots of mineralogy now are there, and the most important mineral localities. This is why we do the show there, not in Warsaw. In fact, it's 5 hours drive from Warsaw. So we've got many vendors. We've got like 200 tents, and half of them are minerals and half of them is jewelry. There are big crowds when the weather is nice, especially. As you can see, old town, beautiful buildings. And beside of minerals and jewelry, we also got many. We try to create whole environment. It's a little bit different than any shows I've seen in US or in Europe, because we try to make it a little bit more popular, a little bit more welcoming for new people who never visited the shows. So because we work with the local historical museum, we create mining archaeological village. This is the system how you can make nails yourself using the traditional methods, for example. We bring to the show a lot of fun, you know, for kids. It's not only rocks, it's also a lot of things around the rocks. There is whole playground for kids, which is outside.
Great idea.
The local quarries are bringing the huge trucks. You don't see the scale of this truck, but this is like 50-ton truck. And during the show, people can walk inside, jump on it, and do the photos. They love it. This photo was taken by night when we were going back from the show. In this tower, by the way, there is a permanent exhibit of the local museum about the minerals of Western Sudetes, the local minerals. And there are big parties for collectors. One of them is hosted in the old basalt quarry. This area is rich in basalts, which were mined from Middle Ages. And we do it traditional way with bonfire and krupnik and other stuff. But the main part, the most important part, are the exhibits. Exhibits are located in several places in the town. One of them is a tower I showed you, and one of them is this quite big hall from the 16th, I think it's 16th or 17th century town hall. It's a beautiful hall, and if you go there, beside of the event, you can see on the right showcase, there are objects which are definitely not minerals. These are some silver ornamented things which were collected during archaeological research in the area. So for our show, they remove a lot of these objects to let minerals go in. So I will show you a few photos how this exhibit looks like. So these are samples of the exhibits from the previous years. For example, this exhibit is showing Poland as a mineralogical El Dorado. What's kind of tricky because you don't know many minerals from Poland, but a few years ago there was like a bonanza of finds. So this showcase is like, I think, 4 meters long and 2 meters tall, so quite big specimens. This is other exhibit.
Display there.
Thank you. This is other exhibit showing the colors of minerals and some photos from other exhibits we did in the past years. This is how we exhibit the minerals. We usually exhibit minerals from the Spirifer collection, but also we borrow them from some Polish museum, private collectors, sometimes from collectors abroad. And what's important in the wedding hall, in this beautiful town hall, what is very tricky for us, I will tell you why, we've got competitive cases. And these competition cases are different than you have in US a little bit, because in Poland, you cannot count on the persons who own like world-class $1 million specimens. So we concentrate a little bit on different topics. Every year we've got like 15 of these cases. Every case is the same. Every person get only one case, and we judge, we give points. You can get 5 points for the quality of minerals, 4 points for the merit descriptions and no mistakes, and 3 points for aesthetic vision. So only if you got 10 points, you can get first place, for example. So people are putting a lot of effort to make nice exhibits like this one showing minerals from pegmatites of Strzegom-Sobutka Massif, not far away from the show, where you can see the old postcards, some old hammers mixed with minerals. And beside of voting by international jury, we've got competition of the visitors. So we've got a big place like during the voting for president, for example, standing in the middle of the hall, and thousands of people drop their votes. And in the end, it's very funny because we've got 1 hour to count like 5,000 votes. So there's like 50 people counting. So we can announce before the end of the event the votes.
Right.
So now I will show you a few photos from the exhibits this year. We've got very special exhibit of the agates from the Uwe Reyer collection. It's one of the world leading agate collections. And these agates are really top quality. The showcase was showing mostly Moroccan agates, which you see here, the agates from Argentina and Mexico. And one of the really best pieces in the case and best in the world is this Condor agate. And this agate is considered to be probably the best known from the location. Uwe collection is really incredible. But the main exhibit was called Rockstars, and it was about the specimens which are some kind of like rock stars. Don't have to be always pretty, but they are important, they are major, they've got some fans and followers. Like these tourmalines, which you would say, okay, nice tourmalines comparing with Brazil, but these are the best tourmalines known from Morocco, probably. And they were never shown to the public. So there was a case with them. You can see how the cases looks like. The big pieces here are like 70 centimeters, 50 centimeters. These give you the idea of the scale. For example, this big aragonite is probably the best aragonite known from Laurion in Greece. But you can see some gold specimens and other stuff. This is another case. These cases are hanging on the wall. They were done. The museum done it in cooperation with us, so we selected much better light than they use because they use yellow light for the historical objects, what's killing most of the minerals. But with this good, bright white light, the minerals really presents nice. And you could see, for example, these pieces here, you can recognize some American pieces, beautiful mesolite from India. These big pieces here are like 30 centimeters size, so this is what we were showing there. And you can see on the upper shelf some pieces from Congo. The hemimorphite on the left side and the dioptase on chrysocolla on the top are from the quite recent productions in Congo. Here, the blue smithsonite on the bottom shelf is also Congo recent production, and you can see it around some other interesting specimens. And of course, we always, in these kind of topics like this time it was rock stars, got some major specimens from Poland. This was a case about Polish specimens. You can see a variety of the finds from Poland. These calcites from upper shelf, for example, are coming from Grabiszyce. This is the location, only half an hour drive from Lubań, where the show is located. So this is one of the sponsors of the show, and they bring us the big truck. So this is great cooperation because they let us collect the specimens there. Here you can see a few fluorides from the Strzegom Sobutka Massif, also Lower Silesia. The biggest one, the yellow one, is like 13 centimeters, if I well remember. So these are not small pieces. And some of the pegmatite minerals from other area, from Piława in Poland. So this is what we were showing there this year.
And Tomek, this is all kind of your brainchild. You're the chief organizer of this whole thing?
Yes, this is what I am the main organizer from the side of Spirifer Geological Society, and we cooperate with Dr. Łukasz Tekiela, who's director of the museum. He's also very vivid and active collector, so we know each other from this field. And he's from Lubań, local, so he's doing all the work from side of the town and museum. We do the side. We bring the dealers, we bring the minerals, we arrange the showcases.
Well, Tomek, I have to really say hats off to you. I've known for a long time that you've done a mineral show in Poland, but honestly, and I'm saying this to the viewers out there, this is the first time I've ever seen photographs of the show itself, and I think you are doing an excellent job. The exhibits there are top-notch. Those are like world-class exhibits.
Thank you.
Some of the rules that you have for the competition are fantastic because they're very inclusive rules. So way to go. Nice job.
Thank you. You know, I have to say that for viewers, because maybe someone will say, oh, I have to go for this show, buy this quality specimens. So you have to understand that at this show, dealers do not sell like world-class specimens because Polish market is too small. People do not have enough money to purchase top quality specimens. But there are some very nice pieces which you can buy there. And also our exhibits, they look nice, but they are not as professional as we would like to have them, because our funds are also limited on that. But we try our best what we can do with this, what we got.
Well, you know, what I would say is it's a good stepping stone into some of the other big shows. I mean, I go to all the big shows and film them, but one comment that I hear a lot is the sticker shot that people have in terms of the cost of the specimens. And so I think this is an excellent show where you have a very, very high quality display, high quality specimens, and it's a good way to introduce people into this. And then they go shopping and they realize, wow, a lot of these are quite affordable. So maybe eventually they start stepping up into some of the other shows like Tucson, St. Marie, Munich, whatnot, Denver. Yeah. So good job, man.
That's our idea, to make this show very inclusive.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Now, I know that you also are involved in a long-term plan in setting up a new museum in Poland. So tell us about that, because I would imagine that a lot of the things that you're doing here at the show are going to transfer very nicely into the museum.
Yes, let me share the screen again. So not far. Do you see the pointer of my mouse when I'm putting that on the screen?
Yes.
Like the arrow from the mouse? Okay.
Yeah.
So here is a corner of the Czech Republic, Germany, and Poland. And the Lubań show is located just on the border with Germany. And this red point is a place where we are working to set up a full-time year-open museum. What is the plan of the Spirifer Society for 2 decades, but we already failed several times doing that, and we hope this time it will be better. We are doing that.
You just found out the ways not to do it.
Okay, nice diplomatic way to call the fails. So the town where we are doing that got very easy to pronounce, I think, for Americans, named Szczawno-Zdrój.
Oh yeah,
and Zdrój, that's mean
easily.
Zdrój, that's mean Szczaw, and Zdrój, that's mean the waters which contains a lot of elements. And it was a place known from hundreds of years as some healing sources, let's say, what was very, very popular, especially in 18th, 19th century. And this small town, which is really not big, it's 7,000 inhabitants, I think, it's completely preserved, like from 19th and beginning 20th century. One of these places where people were going from all Germany, France, etc., for spending week or 2 weeks to hang around and spend nice time healing themselves. So as you see the architecture there, this is the place where you can drink the healing water, let's say.
Okay,
And
gotcha.
these are beautiful buildings. There's plenty of beautiful parks around. It's really incredible place. This is one of the main squares with a small tower. This is one of the oldest buildings in town. So, and this town is like almost completely preserved. It was not changed after beginning of 20th century. So all streets or the setup of the towns, it's like it was 100 years ago. And I think 2 years ago or something like that, we purchased a building which is marked here with red arrow. This building is from the beginning of 20th century. It was you can see it on this old postcard with the red roof. It was built as a hotel, the German hotel, because it was German territory at the time. And it was by Richard Hoff, that was the name of the hotel. It was quite modern. There was a small restaurant hall on the left side. And after the Second World War, when the Poland got these territories from Germany, and this was changed to the the hotel for tourists. And then it starts to be lower and lower quality with time. And after communism failed, all these national companies starts to fall apart, and it's became a really low quality place. But it's still beautiful building. You can see how it looks now, like now. And we purchased that building with plan to making a hotel there. So the building is, as you can see, the main part of the building is protected because it's over 100 years old. And I don't know the English term for that, but you cannot make a major changes without some special permits. You cannot paint it red or remove the windows, for example.
We have similar things
for
here
us
with
to do
historic buildings. They're protected by law.
So to make a plan, what we wanted to adapt here, it took us like 2 years to make it with architects, and then got all the permits. It's like several books of the stuff. It's really horrible. But like a week ago when I was in Lubań, we got the very final permits, so we can start the real work now. Wow. For last year, we did a lot of work inside, mostly destroying it, removing all the paint, everything, just leaving pure old bricks, removing wooden floors, which were communistic ugly floors, and just removing tons of stuff. So this is how the name on the building is saying tourist house. This is exactly how it was called during the communism. So this building is located on the main street, and this is how it looks like from the front. And this is how it looks like from the drone. You can see behind is a huge park, very popular place to visit, and it's surrounded by some other old buildings. Our plan is to remodel it completely, to bring the roof like it was with ceramic plates. I also don't know the English term for that, but it was originally done 100 years ago, to bring the original color of the building and to restore it to the stage as it was before the war. This is how the building looked like inside. This was the very ugly reception in front. This was the restaurant hall also, and this was the most beautiful part, the party hall, which was the color. When you were looking on that, you feel pain in your teeth. It was so green and really horrible. So now this hall is changed to you only see bricks there. Everything is removed to the naked walls.
Wow.
So we will remodel everything completely. This is how it looks like on the project, how the building will looks like after we are done. The roof is completely made with different material. We put back another door, which was on the ground floor. Doesn't matter about the details. This is view from the side. It's partly photo from the recent stage and partly visualization. On the left side, there is a super ugly part built during the communism in the 60s, which will also remodelate, build one more floor up and elevator on the left. And if we look on the building from the front, the ground floor on the right side, there will be small restaurant. The central part of the floor will be ticket shop and reception for the hotel. And the smaller building on the left will be the conference hall for some lectures, for meeting for the schools. The main second and first floors will be the museum. And the third floor and all this part on the left side here will be the hotel. Will have 12 rooms. So it will be like a small compact complex with, and on the terrace of this building, smaller building, there will be cafeteria in the summer. And here is, I will not show you all the details because there's too much of them, but you can see on the left side is a planned conference hall, the bigger area here in the center. This is the reception and the ticket office and shop with minerals, and on the right side, small restaurant. And for example, this is the plan of the first floor where you will walk and you will go like through labyrinth, through the halls. There will be whole idea. You will start with explanation. What are the crystals? What are the minerals? What are the rocks? Then you will see how they occur in the rock. You will see some pockets inside of the rocks. And then you will see the exhibit about the colors of minerals and how they grow. And then you will see some very pricey stuff, and then you will understand what are the good specimens and what's the difference about good specimens and average specimens. And there is a big UV hall. The second floor, you have to come to my museum to see what will be there. And in this wing, there are 2 hotel rooms. So this is what plan we have for the museum.
And what is your timeline? When will that open up?
You know, this is a little bit, let's call it, it's not commercial project. We hope it will just pay for itself. We don't have any we have to do it to some date. We think 2-3 years. Now there is so many difficulties in our part of the world. You know, in Poland there is not many workers. The prices of the stuff are super crazy because steel coming from this part of Europe was mostly from Ukraine, from Mariupol. So many things are complicated, so difficult to really judge, but I think 2-3 years.
Okay, well, looking forward to that. And I know, I just kind of as an aside, I want to commend you and all the people of Poland for helping out the people in Ukraine. I know you have been the key country that has taken in the refugees, and you and I have talked personally helping some friends in Ukraine. So I'm sure that's going to affect you, but really, I think the world deserves to tip their hat to what you and your countrymen are doing. So great job there.
Thank you. I have to say that we tried to we collected some money to help some Ukrainian resistant movement and some people to survive without food, which stayed in the front line. And many mineral dealers help us, many mineral collectors. Especially, I would like to thank to Rob Lavinsky, who put 10% of all his sales during the 1 month on his auction, which was substantial amount. And we collected quite substantial amount, which we sent directly to some people who need them or some organizations who are arranging help there.
Yeah, fantastic. Great job. Going on to minerals, I know that you've done a lot of trips to the Congo and you just recently were down there. So there are all kinds of exciting things coming out of there. Share something with us here.
Sure. I was in Congo just before going to do the show. So this is why this show, what we do now, was a little bit crazy with my schedule. But here is, I prepared a few photos. It can be a little bit messy, so sorry for that, but I tried my best in this short time. So yes, my company, Spirifer Minerals, works quite extensively in Congo in the last 4 or 5 years. And we do some buying, some digging, some research, some analysis there. We've got some employees working for us there. And because of COVID, we couldn't go there almost for 2 years. and it was first trip after the COVID. So there was a lot of new finds, a lot of exciting stuff, and some of it I can share with you. So here you can see where the Congo is located. It's worth to mention that when you say Congo, everyone think about this Congo, which is the big Congo, as I call it, Democratic Republic of Congo. We work in the Republic of Congo. The names are almost the same, only the bigger ones got named Democratic because it's less democratic. And when you try to find out information about Republic of Congo, of course, you find most information about Democratic Republic of Congo. This is why locals use the name Congo Brazzaville because of the capital, and Congo Kinshasa from Kinshasa, capital of Democratic Republic of Congo. Mm-hmm. So Republic of Congo is quite safe country comparing with some neighbor countries, and it's poor country, not so big for Africa, but big comparing with many European countries, for example. It's coated in most of part of it. It's located in the rainforest and very humid climate. This is almost northern part of it is not really explored for geology because there is thick vegetation. Most of the interesting minerals are occurring in south part where the red dot is located, and this is where our operation is mostly done. So going to Congo, this is what you can find as an advertisement of absolute Brazzaville's capital. Then to compare, to say, yes, it's really absolute, I would like to show you this photo from town of Lutete. The sign is saying modern toilet, water, and paper, and
toilet paper.
So yeah, it's give you the idea how different is, for example, the airport from the realities when you travel a little bit farther to the country.
Tomek, I've learned through experience that you don't truly appreciate toilet paper until you don't have any.
Yeah, of course, I agree. You know, you pay 100 francs and you can have one, even water. So when we travel to Congo, this is my friend Sławek Schlinke. He helps me in work in Congo. And this is the kind of car you use, not fancy car, but car you can really go everywhere and you are not worried about some scratches. And Congo is really special place. There was a civil war not so long time ago, like 15 years ago, if I well remember. So you can see still a lot of signs of it. This is, for example, local bar located in very remote place. And you can see that if you go to this fancy bar, you cannot bring a knife or gun. And this is how the restaurant looks like. The lady is preparing dinner for us, some smoked fish and some other stuff. In Africa, there is always plenty of kids which are always smiling and running around, and the number of the kids, it's always surprising there. And when the white people show up, this is how they call us, it's always a lot of fun, and they laugh of us, and it's great. And this is some Congo guys in the same bar sitting next to the fancy place because they cannot enter with the gun, and they're drinking some local moonshine and being proud of his gun, which is 120 years old or something like that. Probably should be in the museum. So our adventure started when we left Brazzaville, the capital, and start to go south. We've got one of the areas of Congo, which is one of the richest in minerals. It's Pool Department. Pool Department, basing on the special peace agreement made between partisans and Congo government, is kind of controlled by partisans, which there is official state army, state police, but in the same time, there are partisans which are officially there and making their own controls. So because we want to do some diggings in some areas there, we have to meet the big chief of all partisans. This is the pastor. I don't remember his name. Sorry for that. You can find it in Wikipedia. And in these beautiful architectural conditions, they prepared the meeting for us. It's one of my employees, and Sławek and my chair, and the chair for the big boss, which is the same like ours, just they put some blue stuff on it so it looks more fancy. Unfortunately, I couldn't photograph him. He's kind of normal, funny guy. He's more normal than all people around him. Very nice talk, and we will maybe do some digging with him in next years. This is the map showing you. The most important part of the minerals of Congo, from Minduli to Fatih. This is where most of the old and new diggings having place. There are several places which are not on the map, but it gives you some idea. This area is maybe 100 kilometers, what you see on the map. So we concentrated the first part of our visit. We went to the Minduli town and visited some diggings around Minduli, in Tola, and in Pasa. I do not have all photos processed from that trip, so we concentrate just on the locations when I have some photos. So we will go to Tola. In Tola, this is the photo which I took from drone 3-4 years ago. We were the first people outside of Congo and China who visited this mine. You can see here in the center is the entrance to the tunnel. It's not a big underground mine, small operation, but at the time it produced some really cool specimens. Now the operation is closed. But I would like you to compare these two photos. This is the photo I took like 4 weeks ago. So on the right side, you see the same road, the entrance to the mine, but take a look on the hill, which is in the middle. This is what it was a few years ago, and this is what it is now. Because of the increasing prices of the ore, especially zinc and lead and copper, there is many local people who start to dig all over the area to find any the ore grade material which they can sell mostly to Chinese buyers. And they start, this is the operation which would be never financially, reasonable to do commercial way, but because this is done by some local people with not much infrastructure, using mostly hammers and chisels and maybe jackhammers, it works. And because if they do that without much of blasting, they are finding some nice specimens. So we concentrated our visit in Tola in this relatively new area. Before we go there, first I'll show you the few specimens from the tunnel. We go back to this photo, the tunnel, which is located on the end of the road here, which is, as I said, not productive for now. It's flooded. There were very distinctive perimorphs of dioptase after unknown mineral. Probably will have soon answer what was that, with mimetite and dolomite, and also this type of dioptases and mimetite. This place, because it's flooded for last 3 years, there is no production for there. But because they are digging just next to it in this small hill, there is many new pockets which are found. Geology there, I will not talk much about geology now, but this kind of deposits, it's very diversified in terms of what you find in the pockets. 1 meter from another, you can find completely different type of mineralization and different habits, different colors. So many small pockets yield a lot of small groups of nice pieces, medium pieces, ugly pieces, but a lot of variety. This is how people dig there. As I said, they use the most power of their hands. It's very primitive, very simple digging. And they make this kind of holes, small quarries. They are working in groups, selling in groups, and dividing their money, the money when they sell the ore or specimens. This is one of the miners showing me some ore samples. This is some dioptase samples I found on the dump. This is how dump looks like. It's very colorful. There's a lot of dioptase and blue mineral, which probably give an answer what perimorphs were after. We have to analyze it. There are 3 possibilities: chrysocolla, planchetite, and shatukite. Probably it will be chrysocolla or shatukite according to our analysis from different locations, but I will know better when we analyze the samples. These are some low-end specimens they collect. This is how the most of the stuff looks like. This is the fun with one of the groups we had, when we were leaving from there. And this is meeting with some of the dealers, bringing us some small lots of the dioptases from this location, and one of the local diggers who offer us some better pieces. You can see beside of dioptase there is also quartz and these blue minerals which make kidney-shaped forms, these kind of bubbly forms, and probably the dioptase casts were overgrowing this mineral, which was later dissolved. And what's distinctive for this location and what can be confusing for many collectors, I will tell you why, it's presence of a lot of quartz there, which is very, very similar. I would say impossible to distinguish from the older and recent productions from Sanda mine, which is located maybe 50 kilometers from there. Also in Pool department. So many pieces you will see, really it's impossible to say, even for me, and even for local diggers, from which place they are coming from. This is one of the pieces on this blue material, which is probably planchyite, with quartz and some dioptase crystals, freshly collected, not washed. This is how you find them. And from the same area, there is a Pasa mine, which was the biggest mine operated in the French times, where primary ore was dug, not really primary, but less weathered, where the calcite were the most important ore. And because the mines start to be operated by Chinese, in the last 2-3 years, there was find of the big calcite crystals, some of them huge, probably world biggest, like 20 centimeters big, usually really ugly, but sometimes there were much better crystals. There was a few world-class specimens. This is one of the pieces which was recently produced from the location. So that would be it. If we talk about the Ntola area, the Minduli area, I don't know if you have any questions before we move to other location.
Well, I know that we're kind of getting close on time, so let's move on to some of the other locations briefly. And I know you have some things that you want, some live mineral specimens that you want to share with us.
Okay, I will try to do that quicker then. So this is the most famous location in Congo up to date, probably. It's Fatih Hill in the Fatih village. It was operated by Russian, French, Congolese, but still this hill is rich in ore. It's just not rentable to make it by industrial mining. And it was a very quiet place for a few decades, 2-3 groups of miners looking for specimens. And the situation changed. When what I call the zinc fever started. And I will try to show you on the very poor video, sorry for the low resolution, but these are my guys who made this video, how this quiet place looked at the end of the last year. Can you see the video?
No, go ahead, share your screen.
Sorry. Sorry for that.
Here we go. Okay.
So this is what's happened in Fatih. Suddenly there were tens of thousands of people digging for zinc, for willemite, cerussite, other minerals just for ore. And of course, during that process, a lot of pockets were found. Mm-hmm. So I will show you briefly the material which was found there. I don't know why it's stopping sharing the screen, but so this is some of the recent productions there, some cerussite crystals. And here is a video showing one of the pockets which was found, the freshly collected cerussite crystals. Really big for the location.
Wow.
Some beautiful twins. We were lucky to purchase whole pocket of that.
I love that V-twin.
And there are also some bigger pieces, a little bit more SMMP style. So from the same, these are photos of few pieces from this find. This is the twin.
That's spectacular.
Here is the vulcanite, which was found recently in one of the pockets. These are the videos I made just during the packing of specimens in Congo. You see the quantities of specimens we've got there in our storage. And this is production from not far of Fatih, from Palabanda and the Anga Kobenza quarries. This is blue hemimorphite with cerusite. And there was one very this is one of the pockets, very distinctive, which we also purchased a little bit earlier, and this is already exported and cleaned in Poland. This is from Fatih, botryoidal hemimorphite, not dyed, natural blue color, big group of specimens from wholesale to really high quality. The big pieces are like 20 centimeters big. And also there is a recent find from the area, from the nearby quarry Yanga Kobenza, mined by Chinese, of the Smithsonite. And this Smithsonite, colored by aurichalcite, reminds a lot the ones from New Mexico, from Kelly mine. You can see some of the material we got prepped and cleaned. For the details, you have to go to the shows to see. We'll have a big selection in Denver, for example.
Okay, so you're going to be at the Hard Rock Summit.
Yes, I will be in Hard Rock Summit, and I brought a few pieces to show you here. They are not the top pieces from the find, but I would like to show you something live. This is the example of the botryoidal Smithsonite. I don't know if you can see it well.
Yeah, yeah.
It's on the, there's a lot of aurichalcite here, which gives a color. This is production from Yanga Kobenza. This is the same place, and this is just aurichalcite in kind of unusual form. I know on these videos you don't see much, but it gives you the general impression.
Well, in a way, it allows people to use their imaginations.
And here is one of the samples of the hemimorphites from this find. So you see the photos are not unchanged. The color is super vivid. It's even more vivid in person than you can see it on the screen. So it's a little bit chaotic, but it was short time. So that's it, what I prepared for today.
Well, that is exciting. Tomek, thank you so much. We're about to go to the Q&A, and internet connection's a little bit unstable for everybody. We lost Raquel, and Eloise is having a little bit of trouble, so let's hope that she's able to hang out there for the Q&A. But before we go to the Q&A, I hinted at this during the introduction. We have a special giveaway that we're going to give to people. So I'm going to ask a question, and the first person who correctly answers the question in the chat window is going to win a free prize. Tomek, do you want to share with our viewers what the prize is before I ask the question?
I'm not sure if you will see something. This is Dioptase specimen, very lustrous and sparkly, from the Minduli recent production, with quite big crystals and good color.
Fantastic. So some lucky winner, some lucky viewer is going to get that if you answer this question correctly. The first one to correctly answer this question. Okay, are we ready? And this is via the chat, and Eloise is going to be the judge of this. Eloise, are you still online that you can watch the chat and let us know who wins?
I can watch the chat. I don't know the question, so I don't know the answer.
I don't know the question either. I'm just going to make this one up. Okay, here we go. Name the first mineral specimen that Tomek ever collected. Wow! The chat window is blowing up. Oh my God. I think 99.99% of you have got that correct. Okay, so the answer is calcite. So Eloise, who is the first one in the chat window who answered calcite?
I see from the chat window that it's Taverner Hall that answered first. I need some people to confirm. Brian, I don't know if you can confirm that. But
I'm scrolling through and I see the same. Taverner Hall was the first one Tavener, can you send us a message letting us know where you're from and your contact information, and we will put you in touch with Tomek, and you will be the proud owner of that fabulous specimen that will come with a label signed by Tomek on the very back, his own personal signature.
Okay. No problem.
Yes, and please
We're happy
just send
to
us
send
an
it to
email can you send us an email at info@mineraltalkslive.com, Tavener, please?
Yes, that would be a great thing. But answer in the chat. I'm curious where you're from. From Atlanta, Georgia. Fantastic. Okay. Land of the great peaches. So Tavener, please send us an email, info@mineraltalkslive.com. Give us your contact info, and we'll forward that to Tomek. Eloise, I'm going to turn it over to you, see if we have any questions that our viewers want answered by Tomek.
Yes, and first of all, thank you, Tomek, very much for this presentation. You know, I've never seen any pictures from Poland, from the mineral show in Poland either. So that was a great thing to see, and of course from the Republic of Congo, not the Democratic Republic of Congo, but from the Republic of Congo. It was nice, really nice to see some pictures of the mine. So thanks for that. Coming back to Poland, I had an early question from Tomek Praszkier. What needs to be considered when you're planning such a big mineral show?
Well, the big mineral show.
Wait, I'm sorry, Tomek, I'm going to interrupt you. Eloise, for some reason, I think the spotlight is remaining on me, and I know that people are sick of seeing my face. So maybe if you can remove that spotlight so that we can see you and Tomek.
Yes, it's done.
There you go.
Okay. It's okay now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so to do the big mineral show, it's really complex. All depends for who you are doing it and where are you doing it. Because it's very different if you do the super professional show, like, for example, Munich, which you do in the professional hall. It's kind of easier, but it's much more expensive for sure. And it's very different if you do it in the place which is completely not prepared to be for such a big number of people. The town where we do this show is like 15,000 people live there, and we've got like 40,000 visitors. So, you know, toilets, restaurants, everything is a problem. Parking, you have to plan everything from zero. You have to work with local police, with all kinds of departments. You have to preview everything what can happen. So it's really complex. The big problem is electricity. In the big professional hall, they are ready to supply you in any volume of electricity. If you do that in small town in Poland, you have to include some specialists from country institutions to supply you in more electricity, because normally no one uses such quantities of electricity what we use. So it's really kind of complicated, and it needs a lot of planning.
Okay, thanks. I have another question from David. Have you ever visited the mining sites that have been mining the amazing golds from Western Sahara/Morocco?
To be honest, not yet. I was planning to go there, but then just COVID started and was impossible to go. And then it starts to be possible, and I will go soon probably. Just my schedule was so busy before that I couldn't do that. But for sure, I will go there in the near future.
Excellent. Well, in the chat, I didn't have any other questions. All the other ones have been answered when people were asking questions, but you pretty much answer them right away afterwards. So that's perfect. Okay, but from in the chat, I see Sarah is asking town name, please. Also the hotel museum town.
On the chat, or?
Yes, I just saw that right now. So I guess it's the museum. Yeah, you can just say it out loud, but maybe it would be easier to write it down, I guess.
Yeah, it's Szczawno-Zdrój.
That's easier to write it. Thank you. Thank you for that, Tomek.
Hey, Tomek, I did see a few comments regarding some of the mineral tours that you've led through Morocco. Any chance of something like that coming up in the future, or maybe even something into Congo?
So we run first MINDAT conference in Poland, second in Morocco, third in Madagascar. In fact, it was, I think, the biggest organized trip in the history of Madagascar because there was almost 100 people traveling. It was adventure, but Congo is not a place where I would take such a big group. It's really, there's zero tourist infrastructure, zero. There's nothing, no hotels, no tourists, and there are some places which are not so safe, and you play with partisans. It's not a place where I would take.
So you could take a big group, you just might not be able to bring a big group back.
It could be a good solution, in fact.
What about any other trip going to Morocco or anything?
So yes, I'm helping to arrange a trip for young mineral collectors group. We will go together in November for 2 weeks, and this is the tour for the people from this group. It will be a little bit more, let's say, on the field and fun. And when you go with the big group in Morocco, we've got 120 people in the MINDAT trip, and a lot of people were like, 50, 70, 60. It's a little bit different than you go with 20 young people. You can go in different places, see different stuff, sleep in some different conditions. So it will be this kind of trip, what will be running in November.
That's fantastic. That's for the Young Mineral Collectors group. It's a Facebook group for mineral collectors who are 40 years and under. So if you are not affiliated with the Young Mineral Collectors and you want to explore the option of potentially going on this trip, search them out on Facebook, join the group, and talk to the moderators to see if you can get on that trip. It sounds fantastic. And that's coming up in November.
That's problematic, Brian, because this is something I would like to point. I'm organizing probably Kobono trip for them, but they do not allow me to go to the group because it's only up to 40. So probably you shouldn't be there too.
Well, no, I can't. I mean, I'm technically part of the group, but I've technically aged out 13 years ago.
60 years ago. So they should kick you out.
Yeah, they should. But somehow I'm not.
Okay,
well,
I can't say that
because they might end up kicking me out. Fantastic group, though. If you're not a part of Young Mineral Collectors, they are really a force to be watched, and I can't commend them enough for what they're doing for the young people in the mineral collecting world. So
I agree. This is why help them to put this trip together.
Absolutely.
And I have another question coming in the chat. Sorry to interrupt. Question about prospecting and touring in transitional areas. What do you recommend to stay safe? Do you hire a guide? You keep cash someplace else? What do you do when you go to the Republic of Congo?
If someone wants to, I didn't understand well what I'm doing or what someone should do if try to go there.
Like how do you do it, I guess, for you, or like what do you do to stay safe?
So I usually go first with my wife Asha for first trip, which is like just see some geo-touristic trips, see the locations, understand geology, and understand perspective. And if I see it's something what's got potential, like we did in Mongolia or we did in Congo or several other places, then we go with the Spirifer crew, we bring mining equipment, and we dig ourselves, or we do some arrangement with local people. We usually hire some local people which are established in local realities to tell us what we can do, what we shouldn't do, with who should we talk, to do not be, ripped off or to do not insult someone. I always mostly work with local people about all the stuff beside of digging, because in such places people do not have much experience about digging specimens. So if there is something good, I prefer to do that with my team.
Thanks. That answered the question perfectly. Again, Tomek, really, that was great to see. And thanks for your help to museums as well. I know that you support museums, so thanks for that. Really helped.
Thank you.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, that's going to be the end of our show today. Tomek, really, thank you so much for coming on the show. I know your schedule has been crazy and there's been a lot coming on, so really appreciate the extra effort that you gave to make it to the show.
Thank you, Brian, for doing that. Thank you, Eloise. Thank you, Raquel. It's really great that someone is doing shows like that. It's great for people, especially people in countries like Poland, because, you know, you are from US, it's easy. You go to some big show. And for people from Poland, it's not so easy to go to Tucson. It's super expensive. But they can see a lot of stuff, meet a lot of people, maybe only online, but it's better than nothing. And they couldn't do that in person.
Totally
Thanks.
agree. We're happy.
Well,
we're happy to
I
help
hope
in
to see
any
you
way.
soon. Yeah, so you will be at Hard Rock Summit, right, Tomek? That's what you were saying earlier.
Yeah, we do Hard Rock Summit and we do Sandra show in Denver, but we'll be in Munich.
Okay, so maybe see you in Munich. Hopefully in Tucson. We'll see. It was good to see you
for
anyway.
Sure.
Sounds great.
Thanks everyone for watching.
So for all the viewers out there, thank you for tuning in. Tune in again the first Wednesday of August. We're going to have another great show for you. And hey, do like Poland. Spread that aloha spirit out there. Thank you. Take care.